Welcome to the show. I am MMA insider and Herb Dean's dog sitter, Joey Venti, and you're listening to the MMA History Podcast, the only podcast dedicated 100% to the preservation of mixed martial arts history. Interviews and stories about the early days of MMA direct from the men who lived it. Hundreds of interviews, thousands of hours of research, all conducted by the most obsessed mind in the business, the MMA Detective Mike Davis. Join us as we document the history of the sport we all love. Fellow historians, welcome back to the MMA History Podcast. I am Joey Venti. I'm here with Mike Davis. He is the MMA Detective. I am hungover, but we have a special episode for you today. Our guest today is a filmmaker, a fitness guru, and an MMA history fanatic just like us. Welcome back to the show, James Hergott. Thanks for being here.
Hey guys, thank you. Really appreciate it. I do love the show and I'm happy to be here.
So James, fellow historian, we can agree on that, correct?
Yeah, definitely UFC, MMA historian. I'm more aware of the old stuff than the new stuff, that's for sure.
Yeah. So James, let's start with your plugs. You actually making a living of sorts, including the sport of mixed martial arts. You just have you've got a movie out on Amazon Prime right now called Supercar Saints.
Correct. So it has a couple of celebrities in it. It has Daniel Cormier from the MMA world, of course, UFC champion and commentator, and it's got John Cena in it. And it is a tough business, but it becomes somewhat easier if you can have some names in it, and also if you have some genres. So this one involves MMA, pro wrestling, and supercars. So I kind of have three genres, which are all sort of like hyper masculine genres, I guess you could say.
And like your pool of people that you're picking from, like you say, you've got appearances and celebrities. Would you mind diving into some of those names?
You mean in previous works as well?
No, well, not yet. Not yet.
Okay. So I think I said so John Cena is a big name. I mean, he's a huge star right now, and he's in the movie, and I'm super lucky to get him because he headlines a lot of mainstream movies right now that are on Amazon and Netflix and all of these places. So that was a big catch for me.
Yeah, that was a good get. And it's not easy. Like I can imagine sitting somebody down in a studio, giving them multiple takes. Obviously, there's a lot of time involved. Like what you do and the time that you have to lock down with your people. Our 2-hour little stint that we kind of fly by with these guys, that's a cakewalk. So to get somebody to commit to that, somebody that's already busy, it's not an easy task. Can we agree on that?
Well, yes, and another factor is the bigger the name gets, the more managers and I guess like Dana White would probably say like Klingon guys that you get and stuff like that.
Layers. We'll call them
Yeah.
layers that you got to penetrate. Yeah. No, for sure. So Supercar Saints, is it up for an award? Did I read that online somewhere?
Yeah, so it was up for an Academy Award. We did
Wow.
not get the nomination. The nominations were just announced a couple days ago.
Okay.
And I knew I wasn't going to get that because I'm not a big insider. And this isn't like the type of movies that usually get nominated or stuff to do with like Israeli conflict. This is much more of like a pop movie. But just the fact that it was even up for a nomination was a big deal. And it's got a really high rating on IMDb, and all the like reviews I've had of it are really high. So, and I thought for sure, like, okay, guys are gonna like it, but there's a lot of actually mothers and women that have really liked the movie. So it's doing well. If I could just kind of explain a little bit of the plot.
Yeah, go ahead. Great. And to our audience, Joey and I have a beef about certain things involving YouTube. This gentleman right here is going to share the arguments from both sides. Go ahead, James.
All right, so it's about a kid named Steven who is a Make-A-Wish kid, and he's got a brain disorder where his brain is growing into his spine. And it juxtaposes this with this group in Toronto of supercar owners that the minimum requirement to join this club is you have to have 50 million or more. and we have like some really unlikable guys in it that
Yeah.
at first people are repulsed by because they're very egotistical. In fact, Daniel Cormier is sort of like our voice of the audience throughout the movie, and he comments that he's never wanted to kick anybody's ass more than one of the characters in this film, to just kind of share with you the
Yeah.
the way they come across. And
He was detestable. Yes.
yeah. So
More than one. More than one.
yeah,
Like
there's more than one. So I kind of juxtapose these, well, to use pro wrestling terms, like a heel and then kind of the hero of Steven and what he's going through. And then it's a documentary. So I kind of threw these guys in together, and an unlikely bond formed between Steven and the supercar owners. And then that ended up kind of going in a direction I didn't expect, where Steven really had an impact in these guys, because Steven's struggles are life or death. And so he lives in a one bedroom apartment with his parents and his brother who has autism, and they don't have much money. They lost their house because of the medical bills, and they had to take time off work. They don't have a car, and their place is just stacked with just basically Steven is a huge pro wrestling and MMA fan. So his whole house is just full of like action figures that are pro wrestling and MMA action figures and title belts and all this sort of thing. And because they're all thrown into this one apartment, it's just kind of littered with all this stuff. But he's a super fan. And and then you throw him in with these guys that just have kind of unlimited wealth, where they'll, spend $2 million in a day on various Lamborghinis and McLarens and all this stuff. And it made for a very interesting kind of outcome, because, there's sort of a twist ending where it turns out that there's more in common between Steven and these guys than one would expect.
and uncommon. Yeah, they're not uncommon. Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
And Steven is like, he said he's like 13, right? How
yeah,
old
I
is
mean,
he?
we
Yeah.
filmed this over a few years, so I think he started at like 11 or 12, and then it was like 13, 14 by the end of it.
Yeah, he's wise beyond his years.
Yeah.
And like the confidence that he has when he speaks, and the words that come out of his mouth are like, they're very impactful. Like he's somebody that's very special. He's a special kid for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I did some like mainstream news up here, and the one of the places we went where it was like we went on this CP24. And the host afterwards actually said that like Steven has like an aura in person,
Mm.
which was really kind of interesting. She's like, this kid has like this aura. She's like, I've never seen this. Like, so he has this kind of personality, and it really had an impact on these guys. And in the meantime, like throughout the whole story, Daniel's kind of like the audience at home commenting on what's going on, because what I did is I showed him the finished movie and had him just give his natural take on things. And then at the end of the movie, Stephen actually gets to meet Daniel Cormier. I actually fly Stephen to the gym in Gilroy, California. And that was a whole experience, because, obviously Daniel's got a wrestling academy and all that sort of thing. So Steven being a huge wrestling fan, it was a surprise for him, and it kind of paid off that the whole time you're watching Daniel kind of comment on these characters, and then he gets to meet Steven in real life, which was really awesome. And I was telling you guys before that Daniel Cormier, like I was really surprised. I saw this with John Jones, where he was like the first one to kind of call John Jones out, that he said, this guy isn't what he seems, and
Right.
sort of had an insight. And I was really surprised, because obviously as a filmmaker, I've been filming this for 3, 4 years. I know all the truth behind the scenes. And Daniel Cormier said some very relevant truths about the characters that he picked up instinctually right away. Like there's this girl that lost a leg that's in the movie, and he had this assessment on her, and I was just like kind of blown away, because it took me like 6 months to kind of realize these things, and he had it like not only figured out, but was able to like portray it to the audience within like seconds. So I have no doubt that, well, obviously he's an intelligent guy, but I have no doubt that that served him in his career, those kind of instincts. It's I don't know if it's an intuition or just an intelligence or something, but he's able to kind of sum people up in his mind pretty quickly. So that was
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah. So what I took from it was Daniel Cormier walks into a room and he's broken down every single person in the room, from the woman cooking to the maid to the high-end business executives. Like he's literally done that math in his head the minute he starts walking into a room. Yeah, brilliant guy, absolutely brilliant, and he flexed on it. So Joey,
Yes, sir.
let's talk about our YouTube. Would you mind just kind of let's talk about
Yeah.
the problem that we've had, before we start slinging arrows at each other.
Okay, let's do it.
Joey, please.
Okay, we've got an ongoing problem with people stealing our content, refurbishing it, using it for their own little mini documentaries, and a couple of channels have been pretty successful, gotten a lot of views with
aggressive
our stuff. Yes.
With like 90% our stuff.
Yes.
And then the stuff that they kind of piece together is from our stuff, but it's like their words. And then they like cut you and I out and only put the person we're interviewing in.
Right.
Okay.
So this obviously makes us both mad, but I would say it makes Mike even more mad. Mike wants to cut him off completely. We'll flag you if you use it. I was kind of seeing an avenue where, what if we let him use our stuff, but we make sure that we get mentioned, that we get credited, that we get people directed to our channel. Weigh in. What do you think, James?
Well, first of all, do you have a watermark on it?
Well, we have it in the corner by the guests, and it's so friggin' obnoxious that sometimes it impedes ourselves, like, from using it. Like I'm not a big fan of it. So one of the big problems also is like the bare minimum that YouTube requires you to do. So if you use our stuff and you're watching on your phone or your TV at home, you have absolutely no idea where the interview stuff came from.
Right.
Like you don't. Like if you're on a landline computer, which is like 5% of YouTube views, you have that access, but you don't. And another thing is, it's like the problem I have is I've got to like be careful. But they're all from Europe. Although like what I refer to as content squatters, they're all from Europe. And what they do is they cut Joey and I out, piece things together, use like our parallels as well as kind of like our insight, pretend it's their own. They know how to like juke the algorithm, which is something we can do like on our little documentary series. But oftentimes now what they're doing is they're just letting AI do it for them while using our stuff. And there's several different AI methods to do it. We attempted to do it on our Pat Smith one. That AI program sucked. It didn't work. It sucked. We have got the people that we're interviewing, other people don't have access to, or they don't have the ability to understand the subject matter that needs to be discussed. So in essence, what we're doing is we've got a kid sitting next to us in class, copying all of our homework, writing down all the answers to our tests, and then screaming that they got an A+ and they're the man.
Yeah. Right.
Well, giving us the bare minimum. And so then like what happens is like fellow historians such as ourselves get in my inbox and they know how to make me nuts. Like they really do. They're very good at it. And I know they're laughing as they're sending these things. And I would do the same thing. And I'm glad that they're doing this to me. So I just put in comments, hey, dude, this shit's over. That's over. Use another one of my stuff. I'm flagging your channel and we're going to see what's up. Now, we have taken down some bigger channels.
We've also got a channel we've decided to work with.
MMA on Point.
MMA on Point, like we're cool with them.
100% because they communicate with us. So,
right.
James, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
49.
I'm 51. Joey, you're ageless. 48. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We know. So we're all like a different generation where, like these young kids, like for instance, oftentimes when I go to Miami or Fort Lauderdale, I'll go to the beach, and what I'll do is I'll see people going into the stores to take pictures of the clothes that they're trying on and never buying it so they can put it on social media. So what they're doing is they're playing Barbie, and they're adults. And what these gentlemen are doing are pretending that they're doing these masterful pieces of art, and that we, Joey and I, like literally their stance is that we should be grateful that they steal from us with only giving us the bare minimum of credit. And
so the question, the question is, I know. We're not giving him a chance to respond. What would you do?
He's already decided. I saw his head movement. He's already on my side. Thank you, James.
What would you do in our shoes, James?
How long is it for fair use? Is it like 13 seconds? Did you guys ever look into that?
I would like to say they're doing 13 seconds, but they're not doing that.
Okay. Well,
and in the UFC, like whenever we've used UFC footage in our trivia, which is, I mean, we're talking 5 seconds at most.
Right.
It doesn't get dinged, but oftentimes it gets demonetized.
Well, if it's demonetized, it's gonna be too much work for them to keep going. I would put them in 3 categories. Category 1, like MMA On Point, and work out a deal and say, look, if you use my stuff, have something on camera that says, the name of the podcast, or thanks them at the end, however you want to kind of work that out. I think that or if it's a verbal shout out, and I think that's great. And MMA On Point is
they do that. They do that.
Great. They straight up say, if you're not listening to them, why aren't you? Let's say.
Okay. And I'll tell you another thing about MMA Point. They're actually from the game.
Yeah.
They're old school guys. Now, did they come at us like James? Let's just say I'm going to use some of your stuff, and I really like what you're doing.
Yeah.
Here's my bare minimum from me to you. You're going to notice I've thumbs up a bunch of your YouTube videos. I've already because I'm using your stuff. I've already left lots of comments on your stuff. I've shared it a few times. I subscribe to your social media. I may leave a review on Apple or Spotify, something of that nature.
Yeah.
None of these people clear a single bar of that.
Okay, so you got group 1, which
Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I got issues with that.
So you got group 1, which plays ball with you. Perfect. You got that set. Group 2, I would say if it's under like 14 seconds or something like that, I don't know that you can even do much about that. Now,
wait, James, just for flashback MMA, test his theory. Test his theory. Okay. That's all I'm saying. Test James' theory. Let's just see if I can't do shit. Go ahead.
So if it's like under 14 seconds or whatever, I think that comes under fair use. Like, and I'm not saying they string together a series of 14, but like whatever, 14 seconds, it's like it might more likely make somebody curious. But if they're taking your stuff and chopping it up and using the majority of it or using long lengths of it, and then I would complain, because you're now, I get what you're saying about the advertisement, but the problem is that if there's nothing on screen or anything to tag it back, unless you're somebody that's on the channel, you're not even going to know where the derived source is. So those bigger channels, and especially, and it annoys me when they have the voices, like the AI voices as well. Yeah. So those ones that, like, if it's a young guy that he's using his voice and he's putting passion in it and he knows about the sport, write that guy and try to come to a deal with them. But if they're these idiots in Europe that are just using AI and are just putting mass stuff out there.
Here. How about, like, we're going to name names, Flashback MMA. Yeah. Are you aware that they don't even have an Instagram page?
I don't even know who's
exactly. So all what they're doing, and they're getting shitloads of views. So all they're doing is, this is just like one arm of the branch of them flooding YouTube with, I guarantee they got several different channels. They got a really good AI program, and they're just boom, 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 probably little touch-ups, and he's making a fortune. The issue that we have is we need more editors. Like our Harold Howard video, I mean, James, like I understand it's Supercar Saints. You guys, nominated or up for nomination, for the Academy Award. We are the world's most dedicated and subject matter experts on Harold Howard.
Yeah,
That's all I gotta say.
I follow you guys. I love your channel. And you know what? Like,
Is that a flex, Joey? Hey, it didn't even phase him. I thought we'd get some love on that one. All right, go ahead.
It is an awesome channel. And you guys, like I mentioned when we did that group thing for New Year's,
Yeah.
I mentioned Vlad TV, and Vlad TV has the same problem. In fact, even my Supercar Saints movie, I had a clip, I saw a clip floating around of John Cena from that, and it didn't give any credit or whatever. But honestly, I would reach out to the guys that are, because sometimes, people start these YouTube channels and they're young guys and they don't know any better and they're trying to make it. And those guys, if you write them and they write you back and you can do the same thing as
So James,
yeah,
I'm 51. So like I haven't had a sip alcohol since I was 18. I'm accountable for all of my actions.
Yeah.
So like I am of the forethought that this is my daughter. Like our channel, Joey and I,
yeah, it's your baby.
It's our child. Like it's our child. And like
you're touching close to home because I have an 11-year-old daughter. So
yeah, oh dude, I got a 4-year-old, oops, a 10-year-old.
You're gonna want to stop calling her an oops as she gets older.
James, another thing, she likes it when I'm on YouTube. So at the end of Andy Anderson, which drops tomorrow, she always like kind of runs over and sits on my lap for like, I'm gonna do a magic trick where I make her appear on the TV. It's gonna blow her friggin' mind, dude. It's gonna blow her mind. So but so the thing is, like, I know if I want to court somebody with understanding that they're going to respect me, I would contact them first. So for me to go, yeah, I'm the guy that you've ripped off for like the last 7-8 releases that you guys put on your channel that got 100x that we got, and it's monetized. You haven't done a share, you haven't given a shout out, even a comment on our Instagram or YouTube. I don't think that I'm the one that should bridge the gap of that conversation. In fact, to me, that's kind of cuck behavior.
Well,
maybe I'm old.
But again, like the way that I would see it if it were me is I would look at different categories. So guys that are just using AI or just like farming stuff in Europe and they're
flashback MMA. Go ahead.
And they're mass releasing stuff. I would definitely report them. Okay.
There you go.
So
they have responded to us reaching out to them, and they were open. They were open to letting us.
Hold up. I put on their.
Yeah. No, you threatened them first, for sure. That's cool.
I always try to start a conversation with them. If somebody's stealing from me,
I agree.
If somebody's stealing from me, I always start the conversation with a threat. Yes.
I agree.
Absolutely. Okay. Hey, sleep with my wife. Hey, go ahead.
If there's ones that
fuck out of here.
If there's ones that legitimately have millions of views and they are willing to work with you, that can, some of these young guys are able to do things with the algorithms that you might not know. So it might be a gateway to bring some people in if they're willing to do that.
Well, right? Okay. So that there is like another issue we've had. So before Joey got here, before Joey came into my life, what happened was these kids would contact me saying, man, you're missing here. I like your channel, but you're missing your growth by not doing these certain things. And I would say, okay, well, I don't have a large budget. Like this podcast cost me about $500 a month. And, Joey kicks in too every once in a while for various things that don't come out of my pocket. It's probably costing Joey $200 a month. And like the return on it isn't much other than we've got the world's biggest collection of like sports cards, but MMA interviews. Like we do. We've got the world's finest collection of mixed martial arts interviews of the old school guys. And that might not mean much to certain people, but the three of us, it means a lot to.
Yeah.
And like, we know what we're talking about. I mean, James, if we had you sit on like the Elite XC conversation or the Gerald Streetman conversation or Rafael Torre, within 24 hours, you could have enough notes and direction and wherewithal and understand where you could sit in and present like a very knowledgeable person because the subject material. Oftentimes, these kids that were coming at me this way, well, how do you do it? They're like looking for like a hack. Like I've got like some secret page I access. And what their response was, when I'd say, well, I need kind of a lead in guy or somebody to kind of pepper in certain things, because James, as you know, there's one lead interviewer and then there's a guy to kind of help transition, help present. And it's just kind of like it's a two-person game, but you can't have 5 point guards on a basketball team.
Right.
That doesn't, that's not how you play the game. So Joey and I have got a really good, and we don't even communicate sometimes, and we know when each other are coming in and out just based on cadence. I mean, doing these through Zoom is not easy. So oftentimes what they say is, yeah, being a lead in and kind of the side guy, you're gonna have to come up with something stronger than that. Like, okay, well, I'll be the secondary guy and I'll write out all your questions for you and do all the homework, and fuck off. It's just like, no, man. Like, okay, well, you guys aren't getting a lot of views. Well, you're not helping us.
But
Like,
I honestly think
they're not helping us either.
But Mike, I honestly think the reason that you guys haven't got a lot of views is because there's less of a market just for older stuff because more kids are into the younger things.
True and untrue, though. So
but again, if you look at Vlad has been able to bank historical interviews, and over time,
is it MMA? Is it MMA or is it what's
no,
he do?
Vlad is like hip hop artist and stuff.
Okay, yeah, I don't know who he is.
But,
Okay,
but he's huge, and he said, and I listened to him talk about the business of what he does, and he said that like, and we don't like this to happen, but he said that so he's interviewed all these guys, and then sometimes what happens is a guy passes away,
dude, it happens all the time.
right? And then that material becomes much more valuable. So I think the fact that you're banking all of this stuff historically, it is more of a long game. So I don't think it's like a flash thing where you need some kind of a gimmick or something.
No,
The only thing I know that he does, which you guys are already kind of doing, is then he breaks it up and he has the clips and stuff that he releases to promote it, the shorts and things like
okay.
that.
So what we need to do is I've got a whole bunch of clips I've made private, including from interviews that were lost. Like the video was lost, but the audio still exists. And what I think, I'm hoping another editor stumbles our way. And what I'm going to do with those clips is I'm going to work in the footage, the legal footage, while the person's talking about it, because you're talking like a 2.5 to 3 minute video. So if we're talking like IVC Brazil or, some kind of crazy event that the video still exists, which oftentimes it does, although grainy and kind of shitty, I probably got about 150 videos that are like about 3 minutes, to where if somebody gave those a little bit of love, I have no doubt like we get the 100K views on the occasional drop, like the 3 minute drop. Like I know we would. I mean, it's like I mean, Joey, some of the stuff that we've archived is freaking mind blowing. Like, I mean, including like Igor's, dude. We got Igor Zinoviev. We got John Lober.
And Igor Zinoviev doesn't do an interview for anybody.
No.
Oh no, you guys have gold. I mean,
Yeah.
Even like the prison interviews you guys have been doing, like the this last one, the Elite XC one or whatever, I thought that was phenomenal. And I do think these have historical, and like, you release like little clips from that about like the money in the suitcase and this and that. And those things I think are a good way to kind of lead people to the video.
Oh, yeah, we're definitely getting there in terms of that. But so what happens is like I'll release like a Dave Manet video, and like an interview with Dave Manet. And Dave Manet, probably 5,000-6,000 views over the course of 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Then what they'll do is they'll splice in the footage and use our interview, including like him, not us, him. And they'll get 75,000-80,000 views overnight. So it's like 90% our stuff. They've probably made $1,000 on it, maybe $700-800 on it. And it's literally like us watching a recap of our interview, that's like maybe our interview with Mendoza is an hour and a half, but their documentary is 45 minutes. And it's just, over the top, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, those ones I would flag. But like again, I think that you guys really have a body of work that is valuable over time, and you guys control that. And there's always flashy things that come and go. But like I said, one of these days, Dave Monet, he's gonna, pass away, or there's gonna be a guy that he goes to prison, or you interview somebody and some amazing thing happens and everybody's going to be Googling that person, and your guys' stuff is going to come up. And I think that I think what you're doing is really relevant. And I would encourage you to look at somebody like Vlad TV that does it in a different industry, because I don't know that this is the way, but I can just tell you that he said this was the turning point for making money. So what he would do is he would take his longer interviews and he would have that on a paid site where he would release it right away, and then he would break it up into like 8-minute kind of clips, and then he would release that like one day this clip, one day part two, one day part three, and then as people are viewing that, those individual ones are getting views, and because it's like a sequence, people are tuning in the next day and they're getting it rapid.
Yeah. And that's another thing. None of our stuff's behind a paywall.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like we don't put anything
the only
behind a
thing that
paywall.
he's doing, you don't get, you can see it without the paywall wall. It's just that he releases it over time, over a few days and segments or whatever. But I'm just telling you some of the strategies that other people have done that aren't like, I don't really believe in, I've never had success where I paid somebody for marketing and there's all these young guys and they're going to get millions of views and they're going to do, I've never really found success.
No, we don't do that. We don't pay for views. Like we know certain people in the industry definitely do pay for views, because if you look at the comments on Joey and our video, and then you like kind of like a popular YouTuber or you look at the comments and the views on theirs, it doesn't equal. Like oftentimes our videos get like 60, 70 comments, but it'll be like around 3,000 views, but there'll be 60, 70 comments. And then you see somebody with, he's got 1.2 million views, 3 comments. Come on, bro.
Right.
Stop it. And I'll tell you like another thing. Here, before we go on a tangent, let's talk about you. You also did a documentary about George St. Pierre, David Lusau, at the height of George St. Pierre's run. Would you mind delving into that a little bit?
Yeah, so that one's a striking truth, and I wrote and executive produced that, and basically that was a 4-year odyssey. There was a UFC that was UFC Canada, and on that card, ironically, David Loiseau was fighting for the title. George St. Pierre is fighting BJ Penn, but he was lower on the card because at this point in time, David Loiseau was actually the bigger star. So we were charting their career over time. And by the time we get to the end of the documentary, George St. Pierre is like the biggest UFC star on the planet. He's like the 3-time Canadian Athlete of the Year. He sold out the Rogers Center up here in Toronto, and David Loiseau effectively retired. And one of the crazy things with like doing a documentary is the stuff that is the best stuff is usually what people don't want to show. And MMA fighters particularly, there's a vanity, they don't want to look weak, right? So David Loiseau, his last fight that we show in the movie, he fought on a Vancouver UFC card. I forget the number, but it was the same one where Chuck Liddell had lost to Rich Franklin. And so David Loiseau lost.
Wait. Joe, you better check that. Chuck Liddell lost to Rich Franklin?
Sure did.
Yep.
Fuck.
Knockout.
Chuck
Liddell's last UFC fight.
Oh, that's right.
He was supposed to fight Tito. Franklin stepped in.
And he stepped in last minute. Yeah, it was 180. Oh my God, I remember that.
Yeah.
Fuck. Why do I erase that from my memory?
Because it's not a good memory.
Yeah.
No. No, no.
And,
Go
and I
ahead.
mean, Village Elf is
And
already.
let's also it's called The Striking Truth. It came out in 2010. I
Yep.
remember watching it when it came out, and I think it's only on Netflix in Canada right now.
Yeah, it was like at the time when it first came out, it was on Netflix. It was on Walmart, which is a super cool thing to like go to Walmart and your movie's there. And it was in
Yeah.
Blockbuster because that's how quickly that's no longer a thing. But back in the day, that was a big deal to walk in and it was, it was in Blockbuster. And it did really well, but it was like, yeah, it was at the height of George St. Pierre's career. So anyway, I was gonna tell you. So David Loiseau fought in that on that card, and he lost. He has a anxiety disorder, and it kind of overtook him. So I'm sitting there with the other people that are working on the film, and David Loiseau loses horribly, and they take him to the hospital. And the other guys I was with, they're like, "Well, what do we do?" Because they want to stay and watch the thing. I'm like, "We go to the hospital." And this gets back to like this is a common theme with kind of my projects is when it's the most uncomfortable, that's when you have to be there as a documentary filmmaker. And so we go to the hospital, and David Loiseau does not want to be interviewed. He's at like a low point in his life, but at that point in time, he said, I'm no longer cut out for this, and he retires. Now, David Loiseau basically said to me, like, do not put this in the film, right? Because again, it's a pride thing. So we had this big premiere set up in Vegas, and like the tap out guys are there, Jose Aldo's there. I had Bruce Buffer announce it, like all these people. And David Loiseau, do not have that in the movie. So movie comes on, and I know that it's in the movie. It's at the end of the movie. We had a Q&A afterwards, and Ray Sefo, K1 kickboxer, he stands up and he's like, David, I just have to say that was like the most powerful moment. And that as a fighter really spoke to me. And like the rest of the fighters were saying the same thing. Like that was the most powerful scene in the movie. Even though George St. Pierre was a bigger star, that was the most powerful scene in the movie. And David called me afterwards and he was like, you were right. And unfortunately, it's a difficult part of my job that people don't want that scene, but that humanity that comes through is what connects people with the audience because even those fighters, they felt those feelings and those emotions, and they had a lot of empathy for David in that situation. So that's just one of the things that you'll see throughout my projects. I get into these battles with people, and unfortunately, I know that I'm right, but you deal with like very real emotions and you know some tough guys that don't want you to do what they
It,
do.
I mean, that type of attitude in regards to getting footage is literally what made Smashing Machine so big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to do that. You have to do that. George St. Pierre, um, he's like very private. He's like a very, very private guy. But I think like once you peel back a couple of his layers, he lives a very simple life. Like there's no frills, there's nothing crazy going on, there's no drugs. I've heard he's got a penchant for women, but he's a high testosterone athlete. There's nothing ever makes the news. Like St. Pierre couldn't be. I'm not gonna. He's definitely not a Boy Scout, but he's. You're not gonna look bad dealing with him.
Yeah, well, you know what? He's like in person, you would hardly know he was there. Like he shakes your hand very softly. He's very kind of humble. I mean, he's like ultimately one of those people where you turn the spotlight on and he becomes a different person. And there's this expression that the stage is a shy man's revenge. And there's certain personality types, and I can relate to this, where you're kind of an introvert normally, but then when that spotlight comes on, you rise to the occasion, and that fear, that anxiety becomes a strength. And there's a lot of guys that are very good in the gym where they don't have that, and then the spotlight comes on and they crumble. And George St. Pierre epitomizes that. He thrives in that condition. I think Conor McGregor's like that. Well, I don't know. Conor McGregor seems like he's an extrovert in all situations, so I guess not the same thing, but.
Clay Guida's in that same situation. Not a real good guy in the gym, like in terms of like if you're going to power rank the guys that he's working out with, he's far below the people that are fighting in the UFC, but in terms of his athletic ability while fighting, it's far higher than those people that are better than him in a practice room. Yeah.
I think it's an actual individual skill. Fighting under the spotlight when it matters is its own skill. And George St. Pierre is an expert at that. And but he is a super nice guy. I mean, funny story. I'm filming in Montreal. We're at George St. Pierre's house. The sound guy that I have, ironically, if you ever heard of the Bret the Hitman thing, where he punches out Vince McMahon because
Yeah.
of
Yeah, the Montreal Screwjob. Yeah.
yeah. So this is the same audio guy that had Vince McMahon mic'd when Vince McMahon gets punched out, and you're still able to hear the audio of what was going on backstage and everything. So that was kind of cool meeting this guy. But anyway, he's got all this fancy equipment and everything, and I'm the one asking the questions, George St. Pierre, and I do it for about an hour and a half. And I'm like you guys, I got this whole list of questions, and this is all relevant. And I've only got George St. Pierre for so long, right? So I'm just about ready to wrap up. And the sound guy taps me and he's like, I don't know how to tell you this, but he's like, we didn't get any of that. I'm like, what do you mean we didn't get any of that? He's like, the audio file's gone. He's like, we don't have any of it.
He didn't hit record.
And I'm a very
is that what he meant?
It didn't record. And I'm like, are you fucking shitting me? Because I've paid for all these people. Like we've got all kinds of crew there, and we've I live in Toronto, but I lived in California at that point in time, and these people from all over there, and so I was starting to get like a little bit heated, and that's not really my personality, but come on. I'm like, I mean, the guy's one job is to record the audio, right? That's it. Like that's his only job, and he's got like the cans on his head. He's listening. I don't know. And George St. Pierre mediates the situation. He's like, "Let's just do it over again." And he's like the comment. He's like, I can make the time. Let's just do it over again." He was like the calmest guy in the room. So, I have a lot of respect for George St. Pierre. He's one of the guys that is as advertised. And Montreal is an interesting place, especially with crew, because you got all these unions, right? So I'm filming at TriStar Gym, and Zahabi, what's the guy that runs?
Frazabi.
Yeah,
Frazabi.
yeah. So
brilliant MMA mind,
brilliant mind, but he's a no bullshit guy, and you know how MMA guys are about their mats, right? Like they do not want
no shoes,
right?
Yeah.
There's this guy, he's a lighting guy, and we're filming at the gym. Walks right over the mats with his boots. And Frost is like, no. You have to take your boots off. This guy, sometimes French guys are difficult to deal with. Well, I mean, there's in all things, but there's something about French people, especially like union guys, where they're kind of like adversarial. And this guy's like, no. I work for the union. This is the law. I have to wear these boots or whatever. And Frost is like, don't step on my mats again with your boots, right? I'm sitting there 3 minutes.
Stern warning or asshole
just
warning?
very clear.
Very clear. Okay, that's
dude, you gotta remember, filled with MMA.
I mean, to counterbalance, I have a feeling what's coming next, but like anybody that gets staph infection, that affects their money for the year. Like he might have to go and get another job because of a staph infection, because he doesn't have enough money to pay his bills. So go ahead.
Yeah, and for us is like, I don't care what your job title is or whatever. These are my mats. This is my gym. You're not to do this. 3 minutes later, this guy's walking right on the mats. Faraz grabs this guy by the throat, takes him to the front of the gym, and is like, get the fuck out of here. That guy never came back. But I was shocked that this guy had the gall to just walk across the mats again after getting that warning. Like, could you imagine like the lack of, I don't know, self-interest in that situation?
Yes.
Like,
yeah, that's not good self-preservation right there.
No, I imagine he went out back, hit his vape pen a couple times, let his mind wander, and then walked in as if he never heard anything.
Right.
Yeah. So that was an interesting thing, but George St. Pierre was a true blue guy. You mentioned the girls. There's a few times that I had to wait in his apartment with some of the other guys, and we had to wait for him to finish with girls. So we'd hang out by the pool or whatever, and just wait for him to be done.
Well, I mean, and they could have been, making sure he was manicured, properly. I mean, he's going to be on video. We don't know what was happening inside of there, but I have heard things. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it was kind of like you're working with a rock star, and you just
Yeah.
kind of have to wait for him to be done. So,
And like, if you look at his roots, he's a former garbage man. Like, he's a blue collar, bring your lunch to work type guy. Like, I respect that. I respect that.
and like we filmed at his house for Christmas, and it was very, very intimate. And he is a private person, but he let us in for that. And he comes from very humble roots, and he stuck with that. So I can't say anything negative about that guy. He was awesome.
No, very rarely do you ever, like, you might hear of a beef or two in the MMA world. I've never heard George St. Pierre be on the other end of it. Like, I know Matt Hughes was kind of hounding him for a while, but it was more trying to get in his head than it was, because he knew that rematch was coming, than it was actual, like, animus towards him. You also, I mean, you mentioned Daniel Cormier. Did you work with any of the guys from AKA?
Yeah, so I did this TV show called MMA Worldwide, and um, so it was with the Pittmans. Like I don't know, Joey, do you know the like Bobby and Robert Pittman? Do you remember though? They ran Tap Out magazine, and then they had a spin-off called MMA Worldwide because essentially Tap Out magazine they couldn't do a show about it because the Tap Out guys were doing a show called Tap Out.
Right.
Do you know those guys, Joey?
I don't remember the Pittmans. I mean, it sounds familiar, but I'm thinking of the dude that fought in the early tournament.
Yeah,
Uh,
so this was yeah, so I don't know if you remember Tap Out magazine, but anyway, so it's Southern California based. It was in like Cyprus, and so MMA Worldwide was another one of the magazines that they controlled, and they had this like tour bus, and basically I was a writer, director, and producer, and the premise of the show was we went in this RV and we went from MMA gym to MMA gym and kind of captured different stories. Like we had one that was Northern California and stuff. So we went up to AKA and meanwhile I have this movie that I was auditioning people for. So at AKA I was auditioning all the different guys there, Kozchak and Swick and all these people. And so I don't know if you guys remember Daniel Puder. He went
yes.
Yeah, pro wrestler turned MMA guy, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
yeah. So he's driving around in this limousine. So the guys all in there were kind of snickering. They're like, just to let you know, this guy, he booked a limousine and he booked his own film crew so that he can come in with this crew and look really impressive to you so that he gets the gig, you see. So so he's driving around the block waiting for the right time to kind of make his entrance. So Daniel Puder comes in. He's got, people taking pictures of him, like paparazzi, like basically paid for paparazzi and stuff like this and everything. And he made, so I thought I'd bust his balls a little bit because they gave me the insight. So I'm interviewing him, and I said, "So what's your ambition?" So he says, "Well, I'm going to be a UFC champion, and then I'm going to be the governor of California." And then, and then he goes, and then I'm going to be the president of the United States. And without a beat, I said, "Do you have any ambitious goals?" And he just looked at me like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" But yeah, so there's some real characters at like every gym. I'm sure you guys have seen that.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. So one of the things also that Joey, what I was told, we're not getting enough reviews on Apple.
That's true.
And I've asked, and I know we should have like some sort of call to action at the beginning and things of that nature. But I think we got to use our YouTube with a link towards the Apple, because James, what we've noticed is there's podcasts that are perceivably larger than us, because if you look at the reviews, they tell you a lot. Like
Right.
we got like 101 reviews, 5-star reviews. And then like you'll look, I'm not going to name names, but somebody that you definitely had heard of, and they'll have like 450 reviews. But then like you'll look at when was the last written review they had, and it's from 2 years ago. You look at the last written review we had, it's from 2 weeks ago.
Right.
So what happened is prior to like 2 years ago, you could fake those numbers as well, and they wouldn't get caught. But people that fake them in current day get caught.
I have a solution for you, Mike. I'll tell you right now, because
Does it involve
I
Indians
film with my
and
phone.
H1 visas, H1B visas? I think they call.
Yes.
With the film that I have out right now, The Supercar Saints, it's on IMDb, and I have people that inbox me and they say, "I love your film," or I have family members, or you guys say, "I like the film," and I'll say, "You know what? Do me a favor, go leave a review." And I find if you ask people one on one and you're serious about it, and you say, "You know what really makes a difference," and you know what? If you said that to me and you say, you know what? Thanks for doing the interview, James. Can you leave a positive review? I'd go and do it. And I think sometimes you have to like get in a like knife fight, like close quarters and fight these things. And like sometimes it's one by one.
You
And
know what? I think you're right.
then like because people just things that are like links and stuff like that, I think that people tend to just dismiss that. But if
Mhm.
you're genuine with people, and like I said, people will say, "I really love that movie." I'm like, "Can you do me a big favor? It really helps us." People will do it.
Yeah, and like you said, it's usually one on one until like it breaks.
Yeah.
And like in essence, like what I've noticed also is you almost have it's I feel like if you're listening to, I don't know, X amount of hours of our content a week, you should be kind of obligated to do that, but people just aren't.
It's
Yeah.
easier to not.
Like
Plain and simple.
like if you watch our videos consistently, every single one you watch, you should give it a thumbs up. I mean, it's freaking hard as that. Like
Yeah.
how
You know what? Like I listen to you guys' podcasts sometimes when I'm at the gym. Like I actually listen to more things on YouTube than I do on anything else. So I'll just have it in the background, and then afterwards something else will come on. So it's like I'm on a running machine or whatever. So I can't really like do that. Just speaking as somebody that listens to your guys' podcast, but like on a one-to-one basis, I find when I ask people to do it, it's like 90% of the time they do, as long as they have an account or whatever with what it is.
hmm,
So
hmm.
just my
Yeah.
opinion.
So MMA Worldwide, that wasn't it Mark Cuban? Was it HD Net or
So it was on
HD?
Yeah.
HDNet at the time, and there was a famous show, Inside MMA, and I think we
Oh
left
yeah.
the Inside MMA or whatever, which is
Mm-hmm.
a great show, by the way, with Boss Root. And
I wish they still had it.
yeah, and then I think it morphed into something called Access TV or whatever. But yeah, no, that was
Or
a
it was like the Mav channel or something like that. Or was he bought the Dallas Mavericks? He changed it to like the Mav. I don't know. Yeah, it was kind of
he
a whole
kind of
bunch
got
of different stuff.
away. I think he got away from the MMA content. It was so hard to go against the UFC at that time, and
Yeah.
but I got something really awesome from that. So I ended up getting an invitation to film the first MMA fights in an active war zone. So this is circa like 2007, 2008. So I got to go to Iraq and film in active war zone in Mosul, Iraq. And we brought a bunch of MMA fighters with us. And then some of the military guys there fought MMA. So it was like kind of the civilians that came there versus like the embedded troops. And like that, like the pictures of that and the video of that, it's like it's so hardcore because it's just out in the middle of a combat zone and they put together, I think it was a ring, but they put together a ring and they had all of the military guys watching from the outside. It was to entertain the troops. And that was a crazy experience.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
was like 2009. Yeah, I think Andy Foster
yeah,
was flown over there. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I think
because he was like the officiator.
uh,
I'm sure, and there was a couple of referees you guys would probably recognize. I wrote down some of the names just because, I'm old now and I forget all these things. Now, this was more like we interviewed them on the side. They didn't come with us, but they were military guys too. So, Jorge Rivera, I know you've had him on the show.
We talked about that. Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Tim Kennedy, and then there was and Gray Maynard, and then there was that Nick guy that had the Ranger up. Nick, I don't know how to say his last name. Pomaskia. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Very funny guy. Very funny guy.
And then the fighters that we had there, John Walsh was a military guy. I don't know if these mean anything. Serenity Nelson is a woman. Andy Roberts. So we had a
It-
few.
yeah, Tim Kruger was there. Tim Kruger was there, and so was, I'm going through my notes right here. Yeah, yeah. Okay, go ahead. I
So yeah,
apologize.
so we were. It was crazy because basically I could talk about it now because like obviously there's no active conflict in Iraq, but they flew us from Atlanta to Germany down to Kuwait, and then Kuwait. So you're going through the airport, and then they come and pick us up. But we had ring car girls with us, so we have like these blonde girls with like big fake boobs, like the whole thing, and of course they're dressed the way they would dress.
Speaking my language. Go ahead.
Yeah.
And then and then you
Thanks,
have
thanks, Joey. I appreciate the
You got to
affirmation,
type.
Joey.
You got to type.
Yeah, I do, definitely.
And then you got all these fighters and military guys with their like bulging biceps and everything. And then we're going through the airport there, and everybody there, they're like full, the robes, whatever they're called, right? Like just back, it's like going 2000 years ago. And everybody's staring at us. And so I turned to John Walsh and I was like, because he had done like several tours of Iraq, and I'm like, what are these guys thinking? And I don't know if this is true. It is like that they want to kill us or whatever. And but I think what they were thinking was this is legitimately looks like Barbie and GI Joe. Like think about like if you're some Muslim guy in Kuwait and you've not seen Americans, we are the most stereotypical looking Americans walking through that airport that you've ever seen. It legitimately looks like GI Joe and Barbie are going through there. So we got some like crazy looks. We definitely stood out, and then they whisked us out of there. But that whole event was nuts and definitely life changing. So I
That's
was
really cool.
part of that.
Yeah, Bobby Razik, was he part of that as well?
Yeah, I was friends with Bobby, like, well, still friends. I just, with the film
Mhm.
industry, you kind of have these very tight relationships where you work with people, then you go off and do things, and they do things. And he helped me with the editing and things like that. He didn't go to Iraq, but he really helped from like the production point of view of the post production when we got back and stuff like that. He's got a great eye for things, so he's Razik's a character. Like, um, he busts balls, and half the time I don't know if he's joking or not. Okay, so this could have been a rib. I don't know if you know that expression, but in pro wrestling is like practical joke. So this might have been rib or this might have been real. But he also worked with me on the MMA Worldwide one. So we're at this gym at Tap Out Gym in Las Vegas, and we're interviewing and doing displays with different MMA guys and stuff, and just filming the show. And we're supposed to do a thing with Randleman, Kevin Randleman. So Bobby turns to me and he goes, yeah, we need to get Randleman down here because we're running out of time. They're going to close the gym. So I said, okay. So I call Randleman, and I'm like, hey, Kevin, just to let you know, we need you down here. We only have another hour or so left. And he goes, hand the phone over to Bobby. Because he and Bobby worked together on the rites of passage. They had a relationship. So again, I don't know if this was a setup or this is real. So hands the phone to Bobby, and I can hear Kevin. He's like, who is this fucking white guy telling me what to do and blah, blah, blah. And you better tell him not to talk to me. And I wasn't mean. Like, I was just asking him to come down. He's like, I don't want some white guy telling me what to do. So whatever. And
Wait, Joey Randleman used to do that to Paula Romero, Meyrowitz's secretary. Yeah, he's his chief assistant. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
So this might have been a joke. Yeah. So next thing I know, I'm back there and I'm filming something else. Randleman shows up. So I hear his voice.
He's
Where's
the
that
best.
fucking white boy?
Did he yell it?
Randleman's here. He wants to see you.
Was that his entrance into the room? Was that, I'm
No,
assuming?
he's just entered the building.
Yeah.
Where's that fucking white boy? And they're like, yeah, Randleman's here to see you, and he's really pissed off.
Yeah, you point at the guy next to you.
Right?
Yeah, point at the guy next to you.
So he comes out and he gets right in my face, and he's like, I'm not going to be talked to like this by some fucking white boy and all this. And my nature, again, like I had to do the thing with David Loiseau, whatever. Like I want to get what we need to film. So I said, Kevin,
you're Canadian polite.
I'm like, Kevin, I understand. I understand what you're saying or whatever. And he's like, I want you to fucking apologize right now. I said, Kevin, I've got these guys here and they're being paid a salary. I only have them for so long. We only have this building for so long. I'm trying to be respect. And the guys in the back, like the other guys in the crew are like, Jesus Christ, James, just fucking apologize. Right? Just like fucking apologize. And I said, I'm not going to apologize because I didn't do anything wrong in this situation because I'm trying to do what's best. I know that you are an amazing athlete and that I have a lot of respect for you, and I want to make sure that we get this important segment. And he calms down. He goes, I respect you, white boy.
Yeah. No, for sure. You just got his respect. In my head, I go, you just got his respect. Yeah, if you did apologize, he would say it was a rib, but you didn't apologize. He goes, no, we're good. Yeah, no, we're good. That's Kev. That was Kevin.
I mean, I didn't back down, and I'm not saying like I'm a tough guy or whatever, but
no, but he doesn't want you to back down either.
Yeah. You know, I wanted to be straight with him, and it's my job to deal with all kinds of crazy personalities.
Dude, that's Hammer House, Joey. That's why I loved Hammer House. I loved it. Endless. Were they 50-50 in big fights? Of course they were.
Yeah.
But when they won, when they weren't supposed to, dude, it was like my hometown team won a Super Bowl. Like I was just, going nuts. Like when Randleman knocked out Crow Cop.
Yeah.
Dude, for a month I was howling at the moon. Yeah.
and Elizabeth Randleman, his wife,
beautiful person.
Yeah, she's still on my Facebook. She's constantly doing charities and stuff for him, and so there's one of your clips right there that should
beautiful inside and out. She's a really good person. All right, so we're going to wrap this up, but this is, I kind of want to give everybody, I should probably start it with this. So James, another thing that I wanted to do is do like a cheap giveaway, something that can like fit in a small envelope, very unique to the show, probably super dorky that people can kind of go, oh, fuck yeah, I want one of those. And it would cost me.
Is this a yellow card?
Dude, okay, yes. Okay, so I ordered 2,000 yellow cards. Dude, it was like $175 delivered. You know what I mean? Like, who gives a shit? So I just get this box in the mail. Like, I'm from the south side of Chicago, like the actual city. Anything that comes to me goes to a different address because anything that sits in front of my house, the likelihood of it not going inside my house is probably 50%. If it goes to Porch Pirates. So the person at the house calls me up. Hey, we got this huge box here. Like, it's heavy. I'm like, what? I go and I pick it up. Here, James, I've got 24 of these.
Oh my God.
And then I got 24 of cheese graters. Here's I don't know if it's, I got 24 cheese graters. So I got cheese graters and carrot plates. They're trying to figure out where the cards are at right now. I've got a car full of this shit, dude. Like, it's probably a 45-pound box filled with this bullshit. If you leave a review now, if you leave a cheese grater, dude, I'll get you either a cheese grater that's already packaged or one of these. And like, it will guarantee you, I mean, it's limited edition. We're only doing 2,000 yellow cards. It'll guarantee you being in line with a shot at a yellow card.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Joey? Did I sell that?
I think we're going to the next level with this
promotion. I think that's it, right? That's a fucking yellow card, bro. Dude, I can't wait to handle my wife. Wait, what? Bow. Come on, bro. Stop it. That's 10% of your purse.
Yep.
Stop it. James, what are we working on? What are we plugging? This is like another thing was I'm not a journalist, Joey, and I've never
Claim to
purported.
be.
Oh, God, no. So this is normally at the beginning of the show. So is there any plugs that
So
you
I
want
give
to
you a
give?
plug, and then I want to tell you one more story just
Yeah,
because
go ahead. Absolutely. Yeah, please.
so go check out Supercar Saints.
Mhm.
It's on Amazon Prime. It's got some really interesting kind of bad douchey characters. It's got Daniel Cormier. We go to Daniel Cormier's gym, and if you like pro wrestling, it's got a lot of pro wrestling content in it, including a big cameo from John Cena at the end, which kind of ties the whole story in. I'm really proud of the movie. It's definitely my best work, and you can watch it for free basically anywhere because Amazon Prime right now, we have it in Canada, US, Mexico, most of the European countries, Australia, even India. We're even in India with it right now. So check it out for sure. And if you do like it, leave a review on IMDb. It does make a difference. And I really appreciate all the MMA community and especially the old schoolers. And I used to be on the underground forum and all that stuff. I mean, actually, I was telling you guys off camera that I had gone with Cindy Ortiz to meet Dana White this is like 2006. And he got a Ferrari. He was so proud of it, but it wasn't like a brand new Ferrari. Like we're talking Ultimate Fighter just came out, right? And they're redoing the building, and he's showing me like his boxing gym in the basement and all this stuff or whatever. So it was a different era, a different time, and I think that's one of the only pictures of Cindy Ortiz, who was Cindy O on the Underground, is Cindy Ortiz and me and Dana White at his offices in Las Vegas, and she did arrange that, and
That's
I
really cool.
appreciate that. She's a cool person, and in fact, presently she reached out to Dana White and arranged a special thing for Steven, the star of the Supercar Saints, and we got to go to the UFC in Toronto a couple of years ago, and he met Dana White and all that stuff, and Dana White's one of those guys, like a little bit like Vince McMahon, and like in a way, like all of us, he's a complex person, and there's negative and there's good things about that guy. And I've heard stories, and I've faced some things with him myself where I had a falling out with him and stuff, and then it was whatever. But there's also amazing things he's done as a human being, and people are complex. But
Is there ever a simple answer to somebody that's doing things at the next level? Of course, there's
Right.
not.
no, no.
Joey, during interviews, you and I have complained about him several times, and then at other times we've given him dozens and dozens of compliments. It's the game. It's nothing personal. It's the game.
What he's done,
Yeah.
what he's done is absolutely amazing.
Oh,
For sure.
without a question. And I mean, to scale what it is he did. Come
Yeah.
on, bro. Stop it. Guy's brilliant. Brilliant guy. Yeah.
In
On the
fact,
other on the
I
other
wanna
hand,
give-
there's Power Slap.
I want to give a shout out to another guy that was really amazing towards me. So Don Fry, when I was an up and coming filmmaker, we had a booth at one of the first MMA expos. This is long before the UFC had an expo. This is one of the ones in Southern California. I think it was called IMA, like IMMA or whatever. Like there's a couple of them back in the day. And so we had Don Fry came out and worked our booth. I think it was for free, to be honest. And we got the longest line, and he shook people's hands from the beginning of the day to the end. And I kept saying to him, like, "Do you want a break? Get something to eat? Go use a restroom, whatever." Wouldn't break. He's like, "Oh man." And especially the military guys, he goes, "You know what these guys do, whatever." He goes, "I'm not going to go take a break." Signed every single autograph and every single picture. And then Tank Abbott, this is the first time since their fight that Tank Abbott came and saw Don Fry and the biggest hug. And then they ended up going for beers afterwards. So I just kind of wanted to leave this on a positive note of especially the early days of MMA and how, of course there's fights and rivalries and this and that, but how great some of the people are with each other.
Yeah. Yeah, really cool. Really cool. I mean, it was almost like a pirate ship. Yeah, you get the occasional flare up with guys beating each other up. At the end of the day, they're all riding together, man. That's the old school MMA. Joey, we got a packed week this week also. I think we're gonna do the fall of
Elite XC.
well, here's the thing with that. I got to get a hold of him, Jared. Honestly, I think we need 2 more episodes out of him because there's some controversy and lots of like backstabbing that I was able to uncover behind the scenes. That's probably going to do 90 minutes to 2 hours. And I think we do our last episode on their last event.
Right.
So this would be like the peak in the chaos. But we're
Was
also
the Ken Shamrock thing or another thing?
Ken Shamrock is going to be the last episode. So when Elite XC went over to CBS, you got to remember the biggest money generator for them and like the biggest spotlight for Elite XC, because it was so many different things. It was like a media group. It was this, that. I mean, it was, we're going to do social media. We're going to do music. And it was kind of all under the one umbrella. The only thing that really contributed to paying bills was Elite XC.
Yeah.
So when the father, Gary Shaw, when they got the CBS deal, he said, you know what? Enough's enough. All this frivolous spending over here is going to drive us out of business. And they forced him out. Like they really, the minute they got that CBS deal, like, wait a minute. It's more important for us to steal than you accomplish your goals and create a multi-billion-dollar company. That's how much money they were taking out of it. Like, who knows how much left? I think Jared has an idea. So I think that's going to be one total episode. And then the Kimbo Slice, Ken Shamrock, Frank Shamrock, he threw his name in the mix. I think we can get 90 minutes out of that alone because all the chaos and things of that nature. But I think on Monday, I shouldn't say I think, on Monday, what we have scheduled is at night, Eric Paulson, 9 o'clock your time, we're going to do his black belt journey. He just got demoted by the IBJJF. We're going to talk about the Dirty Dozen and all of the guys that leapfrogged him to get their black belts while he stood like where he was frozen as a blue belt for 17 years. Dude, I told him, I had a couple conversations with him. I'm like, I've got questions that you've never been asked before. If you either want to edit or have me shelf it afterward. And he just started laughing. He's like, that good? I go, dude, there's some shit here that I got to ask you that you've never been done. And it's probably going to be pretty raw. And I gave him a couple sample questions. He went on tangents and he goes, fuck it, we're doing it on Monday. I'm like, all right, cool. So we're going to do him Monday night. But prior to that, like maybe Monday evening, John Peretti, the fall of
Extreme Fighting
Battlecade, because we've done the first 3 episodes. We got the build up. This is the implosion.
Oh, he's entertaining. He's good to listen to.
So I think we're recording 2 tomorrow. And if we can get 1 at the end of the week, that'd be great as well. If we can get 3 plus this will be a Thursday drop. That'll put us ahead a little bit. And then we can just record once a week. I think that's the plan. Are you cool with that tomorrow?
I'm cool.
All right, James, we're going to start doing roundtables. We'd like you to be kind of like a regular for that, if that's okay.
Absolutely. Anytime. You guys are
awesome. But dude, as we are of you. Excellent.
Yeah.
James, absolute pleasure, brother. Take care.
Thanks,
James.
Yeah.